pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Agenda approved. Motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Minutes approved. Communications.
Had conservation Wednesday night, it was a little spirited, to say the least.
Ordered.
Spirited, yeah. The board member didn't like that we were not given raise. And that we were, cutting that much out of the budget. But then, you know, a couple of us agreed with what we were doing, understood what we were doing. So, I think it was, yeah, it was not the easiest meeting I've been to there, so. I think we got taken care of what we needed to, so.
Whoops.
That was it.
I had a lengthy Board of Health meeting, Wednesday. Lots of discussion on where to cut, and long story short, they really want to keep the budget on the expense side to allow for 9 full-time employees instead, even though we don't have 9 and cannot have 9 with our current setup. Because they feel like if we take away like the budget with the full-time employees, that they're never going to get it back. So long story short, instead of adjusting the expense side, Dr. Rippentrop did a lot of numbers on basically showing like in the last few years how much an RN generates. So if we did go to full 9, what that revenue would look like. So now our budget on expenses matches the revenue for 9 full-time employees. So we added 75,000 in revenue back to the budget, which takes that deficit down to 647, 608. And I believe Lori got you the numbers, right, Brandy? So we'll have that in that budget. And then I just had my IMWCA training this week. Now that I'm on that board, it was very informative. I don't know if I should be surprised, but I mean, I feel like I'm kind of pretty good, but we're one of the best, not one of the best, but we're doing really good as far as our renewal rates. Like when they send out the renewal rates, there's an X dollar amount, and then there's a modifying factor that either takes your premium up or down based on whether or not you're doing good or bad.
From a point.
For workers' comp. And he said like the average was like 0.85, like so you get like a 15% discount, you know, for most counties and cities that we renew with, but Iowa County was 0.65, so that was interesting. So we get 35% discount. And there's a lot of counties that are getting that addition, like over 1, so they get like 1.25 or whatever. So that was interesting, a little thing that I learned. Yeah, there's not really much to say about that other than apparently we're doing good.
I had a East Central Iowa Workforce Development Group meeting. We had one last Tuesday, and they didn't have a quorum, so we needed to have one this Wednesday, and it was just to hire a new CEO or like a new director, and it was pretty easy. I mean, it wasn't anything riveting, so.
I met with the social services employee and looked at the office and just kind of determined, you know, in June when that position ends, what stuff in the office is
Hours.
the regions and ours. And from what I can understand, it's just the computer maybe was provided by the region, but not real positive. But so we won't have a lot of stuff we're gonna have to worry about what goes where when that comes down. And May might say something about it when she's here today.
So it's probably mostly ours.
Yeah, most of the desk, and there's a printer and a copy machine in there that's That's ours, and we'll just have to figure out what we're gonna do with it, but, and then I did have a call from one of our department heads that was, concerned about what we are going to do with the budget for employee raises and so forth. And, their contention was, retaining employees and things like that, you know, if we're not going to give raises, that could be a problem. So, not that they foresaw it, but, it was just, his concern was that, so. That was all I had.
I only had a TAC meeting this week and I accidentally missed it because I was on the road. I wanted more to see my grandkid. That's all I had. I'm sure you want to go now? Go ahead and get that out of the way so you can go back if you want, or stay as long as you want.
No, we can just take a second. I guess I was just supposed to come over and you guys have to make an official motion that I hired somebody.
Do you know who?
Oh, I can tell you, yeah, Deborah Breck.
Okay,
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved.
Did you have a lot of applicants?
I would have to say, I think I had 25.
Wow.
I'd have to count them, don't write that in the paper, but I think 25.
A
I'd have to-
significant amount, doesn't it?
I'd have to go count and make sure, it could have been 24, don't want to
Yeah.
lie, but
Somewhere in
I'd have to count them again.
Well, that's good.
They just wanted to learn from the best.
They were willing to come here because you were leaving?
I'm gonna go back to
Hey,
work.
you wanna take this over to your office for me? You guys wanna buy some cookies over there?
Only at dinner time.
Only dinner time, we have cookies at dinner time?
No, you can't do that.
No.
Not on
Great.
dinner time.
Oh, okay. Just sit up there on the counter then.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good day, weekend.
You ready?
You're calling for me over there soon?
No liquor license, pro-using. Treasurer semi-annual report, that's just a journal, correct? Is there a motion, the 2025 cybersecurity MOU between Department of Management and Iowa County? That's something we do yearly.
Yeah, started last year.
It's being requested. Who's going to open? Yeah, sorry. It'll be moved forever. Is there a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion to approve the cybersecurity agreement.
Is there a second?
I'll second
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved. HHS data request consideration authorization. This is to give our records up, right?
To the state, yeah.
To whatever the new entity is.
Yeah, if you guys have questions on it, we can wait till May gets here, or if we want to approve it. It basically, did Lou look it over? I mean, Tim,
See, you did too.
I did, so, yeah, it's just saying that if there is any liability that they have to assume it, we're not gonna assume the liability of anything that's mismanaged, so.
This is what every county's doing pretty much, I assume.
And I did specifically ask what he wanted me to put in the area where it asks what information. what data
All
can-
historical, current, criminal data, and by applicant being requested.
I think if Tim's looked over, it should be fine. I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved.
I don't know if May's gonna take that today, or resend that in, I don't know.
No, I think I have to send this back to somebody else. Somebody at ISAC.
Do you want to just? Okay. Adam, Adam, you wanna come up, you're here already?
Keep everybody chugging through. Morning, Adam.
Good morning. Well, Adam, you're working in here today.
It is warm.
Finally.
Not outside though.
The water is freezing.
No, I'm pretty low. I mean, I got chop lines on top of it, but nothing down below.
Ours will look pretty good.
I turned one on just so, I set it up so it would keep leaking.
Yeah,
I'm tired of it.
Sometimes that's easier when it's this cool.
Yeah.
I gotta bust the ice in my dog bowl. It's heated, but I'm gonna stay up.
Really?
How's the agent?
The one in Blue Ones? See, mine does a great job. I never had.
Is yours outside or? is
Yep,
it-
outside.
All right, our February report. January calls, we had 177 responses, 132 of those turned in transports, and 45 were refusals. For the fiscal year to date, we have 1,118 responses, and 856 of those were transports, 262 were refusals. Averaging 122 transports per month, just a little bit behind fiscal year 24, which had 126. 46 times both ambulances were busy at the same time. 17 of those, I don't know, I'm gonna say some of these numbers, but we were staffed a backup truck 17 times, so 17 to 35, but 46 were busy, so something's off there. But we had to request an out-of-county ambulance 3 times, and we had 21 transfers. Call volume's been busy, but not
Which counties help us? Where do they come
most
from?
of Johnson primarily, but like Cedar Rapids will sometimes do if there's an Amana call.
Okay.
But, Buffalo will come to Ringo, Blairstown come to Ringo. East Powashik and Brooklyn will go to Victor. If it's North English, Keefe County will come up. But a lot of the volume is kind of in the middle, so it's a lot of times Johnson County. Finances, January expenses, 222,816 compared to a budget of 211,182. I believe that's because we had the extra pay date in January. Is that right, Brandy? We had an extra pay date, didn't we?
Yeah, they're free.
Yeah, so it's gonna throw everybody's off a little bit. Year-to-date actual expenses, $1,591,241 compared to a year-to-date budget of $1,478,276. So, looking at year-to-date budget versus, year-to-date actual expenses, we're at $112,965 over budget. Expect that to even out as we spread the cost of that new ambulance. Like I said, we had the extra payroll, so should start balancing out over the longer year. January web revenue, $81,635. Year-to-date actual revenue, $742,542, compared to our year-to-date budget revenue of $652,458. So year-to-date actual revenue versus year-to-date budget revenue, we're $90,000 over in revenue. Difference in actual expenses versus actual revenue, $848,700 compared to a budgeted difference a year-to-date of $825,818. So our cost variance is negative right now, $22,882, and we're only 7 months in. Year-to-date average charge per transport, $1,231 compared to average revenue per transport of $905. Our cost per response, $1,423, and our cost per actual transport, $1,858. Questions on finance stuff? Satisfaction, consistent, 96.83%. Activities, our regular activities, obviously budget, I've been here just a couple weeks ago. Preparedness meetings, I attend the executive board meeting at the 29th, coalition meeting on sports, and collaboration meeting on January 20th. You probably all saw, we sent Jason over to Victor to do some community CPR, first aid, trying to get out and do more of that in the communities. Kind of got him, Jason tasked with that job.
Was there a good turnout?
I think so. I think there was like 25. Well, were you there? I thought there was like 25, 30 people or something, Jason.
Yeah, I don't know, it's a,
Pretty good crowd, yeah.
Yeah, it seemed like it was, a lot of people were interested on Facebook or social media.
We didn't know they were gonna advertise like that, but he was like, oh.
Which is good. That you want
Yeah,
people
yeah,
to
it was
come,
good, free advertising.
Make it worth your time.
They took care of all that, so. Our February training is just an EKG training for staff. And then on March 1st, we have, we're gonna do 6 hours of EMS continuing education. Do that at the Williamsburg Fire Station. Most of that's paid for through a grant or through our EMS association. Or we have a couple sponsors. Elite Realty gives a donation, and Casey's gives a donation for some breakfast, donuts and pizza. Our vehicles, pretty much just normal service. The 2020 ambulance has rear brakes replaced, just big routine stuff. But personnel finished up our annual safety training, and pretty much it for ambulance. Safety wise, our normal drug screens, background checks, claims, physical tests. January, we had one eye injury in conservation, and we just, a week ago, one of the ambulance crew members slipped getting out of the ambulance. The ground the running boards were wet. They probably could have hung on better, but didn't even think about it, got out, slipped, hit their back on that running board, and kind of, yeah, I got banged up kind of a little bit, went to the ER, nothing was broke, but we covered the rest of the shift, so, but they're back in work now, so. That's it for injuries. I'm gonna hit the other, I included, I did this after we met a couple weeks ago. I didn't get a whole lot of response. I emailed about 10 services in Southeast Iowa. That's kind of our region coalition. I got a few responses, so you can just kind of look and see where we're at compared to other places and the average on our rates. If you need to feel any worse or anything when you're dealing with the budget, but I just figured everybody else was providing information, I'll provide you that information too. Anything else?
I was just saying, I got appointed to the IMWCA board, and Iowa County is actually one of the best.
Yeah.
The mod rate that we get, it's one of the best, so kudos to.
Keep pushing that safety training.
Yeah, well, it's crazy some of the stuff we talk about that counties refuse to do, like even a seatbelt policy.
Yeah, it's not difficult. They tell us what to do and we do it. So it's not, I mean, like, just get the department heads to make sure that they're pushing that training and getting that done. You know, most of it's been pretty simple stuff. You know, we have those cleats that go on our shoes. Don't always, when it's icy, we put them on. Don't always think about it in the snow sometimes. That accident on the ambulance just kind of freaked. They were back in the garage, the running board was wet. I mean, I've done it several times, get out of my truck, even pick up, it's like, whoa, hang on, so I understand that. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll get our rates down a little bit.
Yeah,
Down, but-
so they're all, I think, cause like, long story short, they, instead of, usually what their promise has been to like give more money back, like
okay.
to every entity, but then what they did was they just keep taking the renewal rates down, which they keep saying is gonna decrease the ending fund balance, but our claims as a whole, like as a state, are going down.
Okay.
So we should see more and more decrease.
Yep, and then, yeah, it's hard to tell. One big injury and just throws the whole thing off. You know, we had, a few years ago, we had a over shoulder and some different stuff. But we've been doing pretty good. But I don't take much credit because it's really it's just.
Well, our safety trainings are working.
Yeah, so, pretty small part of what I'm doing, but I think lots of departments.
You're supposed to take credit.
Yeah, I'm trying to give you a pat on the back here.
Well, okay, let's talk about raises.
Well, any other questions for Adam?
Are your time's up now?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
have a good
you.
weekend.
Yeah, have a good
luck with
weekend.
everything.
Thanks for rearranging.
Yeah, no problem. I knew it was gonna go quick. I saw looked at the thing, I was like, well, Sherry ain't gonna be here long. Like, I better just come right away. All right, see ya.
See ya.
Okay, we're down to things for next week in budget. Do we have anything for our next week right away?
We got one.
Nick, transportation, Travis Ball's coming in to talk about the Orlando Trail information.
Asking for money?
That was the question for him.
And then,
So that's going on our levy,
mm-hmm,
so I'm assuming we need to give permission.
mm-hmm. And then usually, it used to be Lou, but Tim has to get permission from
The core,
the Corps.
yeah. Which maybe that should be done before we start advertising and raising money.
And we stay out of funding it.
Yeah,
Maybe they have approached him, I don't.
Well, it should have came from here.
Mail seasons.
But if
I can look at it. I haven't seen what the guys on.
He's a superintendent, we still have to authorize.
Right.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's
Oh, sorry,
Do you have anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. Budget. Roll the numbers.
Is conservation in this updated number?
I thought I looked for it up.
Brady and I talked earlier this week. Obviously, you moved all of Josh to the general, right? The general's still sitting, I mean, that's sitting higher than what we were originally aiming for, even after that. But like I told her, I kind of like to leave that one sitting a little bit higher, just in case of these budgets that we have dialed in, it doesn't work out. We have a little bit of cushion in there.
I have no problem with 23%. We used to shoot for 25.
And that, I mean, that levy rate's already set for us anyways with the,
Right, then we get to adjust by
Pretty good.
juggle stuff
There were
around.
the samples at Costco yesterday.
but the supplemental, which levy rate's on this number right now, Brandy, again? What's the supplemental at to make this number down here? Okay,
Wait,
3.09.
3 what?
Oh, 9.
That's the general supplemental.
Yes.
mm-hmm. So, do you guys want me to run with the rough property tax increases percentage wise leaving alone? Brandy, instead of me running it all on the valuation, I assume I can count on these numbers here, the differences on the property taxes? Or should I run it through, like taking the levy rate times the valuation? For some reason, I don't trust this system sometimes, like the way it computes things.
Go off what the state has provided us and. On the 11th, I'm gonna have to read very carefully. The levy rate can't go up.
The general basic still at 3.46.
Yes.
But the real basic is what the deputies have to need to do, and then a deputy or two back to check.
What would rural be at then?
It's
2.87. 2.87, yep.
129.
So last year, We were
I
at,
thought we had deputies, some deputies.
So the only one changing is supplemental from last week.
Because they are.
we were at 2.7 last year. I don't know,
Supplemental.
someone right, am I right?
Last year supplemental 2.76.
2.76, thank you. Let's see.
You
Dig in here. 1146.
know what I'm saying? Because at one time we put them all down there because we could.
For a reason, some of them need to come out there.
So we have 492,440 in the supplemental and an increase. The general will be. General fund has an $88,429 increase.
Is there just a call comes out of them?
Then I'll just do rural. Can someone tell me what the rural is last year, what it was last year?
You got that, Chris?
What's that?
The rural, what it was last year?
Rural, yes, 2.9 for you.
2.9?
Sorry, I don't want to look it up.
No, I don't wanna have to find it in the papers here. And 2.9. $56,586 in the rural and an increase. That should be all I need, right? For the most part.
Did rural go down from last year?
The valuation went up.
Okay.
It will, and, yeah, valuation went up.
Well, the max levy went down on it, right?
Mhm. So right now, we're looking at roughly $637,455 in an increase, which is an approximate
Yeah, easier for me.
6.4%.
Sorry. So we did that, we did back that one quicker.
Part of it is the libraries,
That's not
so
much.
that's only, I know, but it's not a big fund either.
There's one deputy. I know. That's why we could just move on. Let me call Sherry. See, did we make a print over there?
So if we take the supplemental down to 18%,
Why are we taking that down?
well, supplemental we can take down to 18% because we know what's gonna come out of there. There's no surprises really can come out of there. It's a fixed, it's insurance, a couple salaries, whereas the general is funding. But we could take it down so that way we're not raising property taxes by as much. So if we do that, then the property tax increase goes down to 471,784, which is an approximate 4.7, 4.8%. And that's probably where I would lean on doing it. That's where I would like to go.
And that leaves the supplemental, where are you guys seeing the percentages on
For what now?
the ending fund balances?
Oh, right here.
Okay,
So instead of having 857 in the account at the end of the day, we take it down to 692.
I got you.
What do you think you're cutting out of there?
Not cutting expenses, just cutting out, making the ending fund balance lower. So we can lower the levy rate a little bit.
But that leaves the general at 23, right?
Yeah, but we still have 23 in the general.
For right now, because I'm gonna see if we can move some of that into rural.
I don't think we have room, do we?
So we can move some of that down to rural, so we get the rural out of above 16%. We're not changing dollars, we're just moving dollars.
Yeah,
16's kind of low.
it is, but there again, that one, if you take out that transfer of NICS, because once again, that's a fixed number. We don't need to worry about surprises with that. 18% of the actual expenses, which is 1.378 million, is only 248,000. So we're really at 451. We're at 33% if you take out next transfer. Brenda, your next transfer is quarterly, correct? And the first one occurs when? September? So we do 328,000 a transfer. So if we wanted to cover that with the ending fund balance plus the expenses and get it down to 18%, we would need 307,000. So that 451 is plenty, I think, Kevin.
You think 16%?
Yeah, because that you have to take out the transfer. We already know that's a fixed amount and we know when it's gonna happen. So if you do the actual expenditures plus one transfer, having enough money for that, you need 307,000. So 451,000 to me is plenty. But do you agree with that, Brandy? You wouldn't want, we don't really need to carry 25% of the full transfer of NIC plus the full expenditures, because the transfer, we know 3/4 of it's gonna come out after taxes.
Right.
So we need to cover one transfer potentially, and then a quarter-ish of the other expenditures.
Yes.
Is there anything really, I don't think we have anything that we could transfer to rural anyways,
Outer rural
or out of rural, I guess.
deputies.
I don't know if I really want to do that though, just as the premise of now the people in town are paying for the rural deputies and the rural services for a reason, you know what I mean?
They used to. Deputies respond to a lot of calls in the cities. It can be justified. We need to.
We already have quite a few coming out of the general, how many do we even have? When I asked him a while back, he said, as far as I know, the contract deputies have always been budgeted in the general. In addition to contract deputies, there are really no contract deputies, just 2 regular non-ranked deputies to account for the costs that have similar benefits. Patrol deputies, the 2 cyber IT also come out of the general. The balance of the patrol deputies comes out of the rural. And what do you guys think? Do you guys want to bring that rural up?
Do what now?
Are you guys wanting to bring the rural up any?
By adding another deputy to it?
Taking it out.
Taking it out.
Or,
Do we need to, as I think what the question we're
Yeah.
getting to, if I understand right, because if we need to raise rural, we can pull a deputy out of there and put it in general, bring the general down. We're just moving numbers around.
Right.
If you're comfortable with them things, or that's fine. I'm just trying to throw you options.
What's Brandon think?
Right out of here. Maybe 60% of these.
That's scary.
Yeah,
But that's 16% of Nick's entire transfer too, though. Like I keep saying, 3/4 of that transfer comes out after taxes have come in. So, you know what I mean? So I don't think that we need to, and the first one technically comes after taxes have come in too, started to come in.
I just don't remember being on 16%.
It's like this year projected to end at 20.
I wonder where we had it set at the beginning of last year.
What if you went down to 20% then?
It shave off 88,000. So. Overall, property tax rough increase would be 5.5%. And I'll do a little, I just thought of another way to get this a little more accurate too.
Another thing too to keep in mind with Fund 02, we've got insurance, like health insurance. Everybody's guessing what their employees are gonna do at open. If a single goes to family, a single goes to anyone else, that's gonna increase it significantly. Just something to think about.
Do the department heads not ask their, like, employees what they're doing, or are they not allowed?
You can, but you can't tell them what they can do and you can't tell them they can't change.
Yeah,
So.
but I just didn't know if they did
Some
ask.
kind of life event or what have you.
Mhm.
We did have a decrease in singles and an increase in families the previous year,
Mhm. Which I'd hope,
which was what, about 5, was it?
maybe, yeah.
So that book you were
I just
looking
don't
at.
wanna shave it too much and then run into issues. It's not my budget, so.
Yeah, I'd rather play air to the safe side, than air on, oh no.
Does insurance come out of, which, general,
So,
something.
So as this budget stands right here today, the actual for sure, if this number down here would be right, Brandy, this 10 million? It's the county software I don't trust. So if I do, according to the Department of Management, we raised $9.913 million last year in property taxes. And this bottom number is showing 10.484. So that's a 5.7%, and I'm okay with that. My goal is under 6. So maybe we don't need to change anything.
is that a motion?
And Brandy, you're comfortable with all those?
On this.
And see, this is the number I don't trust. I don't know where they come up with these property tax numbers in this system, but I trust this.
Well, everything that's in there,
Is from this.
no, this goes into that.
Oh, okay. Do you guys feel comfortable with 5.7? And the ending fund balances?
I don't really see how we can change it much.
What was that, John?
I really don't see how we can change it much.
We can always change things after Brandy posts to the department, just
You can always
website.
go down,
Change a lot.
Mhm.
because I need the information to put it into this Department of Management's website by the 5th at 4 PM is the deadline. Because all that information has to be in there so that they can generate the information for those, proposed tax levy notices that will go out in the mail.
I'm okay with Brandy putting this in.
You think we'll be okay if they're more basic like that? That's the only one I'm worried about.
That's what I was thinking.
And this is just
You said we couldn't move.
pay raises
We can't
for
come up later,
union employees
We
only.
need to do, we can do something.
can we? Didn't know if it's set in stone.
I don't know, I'll have to look into it.
We can't change the levy rates
No.
up by any, but we can move line items.
We can go from entity to entity
Mhm.
by the time.
What you'd be doing is you'd be leaving the levy rates the same, but just taking
Right, that's what I was talking about earlier.
ending fund balance out of the general down and
Okay, I'm okay then.
is everyone else okay with that?
You want to make a motion to go on?
I'll make a motion on this one to approve the budget as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion approved. And we don't have to worry about the 4 to 5 thing until way later at the end, right? 4 to 5 vote.
Oh, yeah, no, that'll be.
I think the last thing.
25th, I think.
We have to force this vote to approve it, otherwise we
Oh.
revert back as a train wreck.
Yeah, it's the maximum levy notice that has to have forfeits.
So like, very, what sense it?
I think we have 5 out of 5. I don't know about you guys, are you?
I just want to make sure.
I'm telling you right now, this budget right here, I'm a yes.
And we make sure everybody shows up that day.
What day?
I'm gonna shoot for 25th of April.
No vacations.
Because
Won't come fun.
we would
You
schedule.
can take a vacation with 4 kids, you know, pregnant wife.
All right, you, yes.
So on March 26th, we have a proposed tax levy public hearing at 1 PM. That's the only business that can be conducted in that meeting. The 28th, I have on to schedule the public hearing for the budget. And then we will have, due to publication, I'll say issues, but due to publication deadlines, the 25th will be the public hearing.
This is April. So now you have this, this is when you send all the letters out?
After the Fed,
Okay.
they have to be in the mail by the 15th.
So, I mean, our valuation growth was like 3.23%. So our total increase beyond the valuation was 2.47, which I don't think is too bad
No, wait.
for the hike in the health insurance.
Tort liability, 10%.
Yeah, that's a lot too, yeah.
Hopefully we don't have that issue next year. We can-
Right.
We're gonna have to come up with something next year for
Next.
tree raises.
If anybody has, Jen Lawler's email, send it to me, would you?
Yeah, yeah.
Can't imagine our health insurance would go up that much.
Don't ever say that.
Well,
It's like a jinx.
Pretty sure they promised us when we went to them, but we
We never see double-digit increases.
We are.
No, we had one really bad year. So hopefully.
I'd still like to see if we can come up with something to give our non-union employees,
What'd you
as
say?
far as, to give our non-union employees some sort of a benefit to, whether it be personal day or 2 or something.
I don't know if you want to go down that road. Giving extra days off.
I don't think we do.
I understand where you're coming from, but that's what I was hoping for the raises.
I think, like I've said a bunch of times now, I think the fact that we shouldered the whole increase on the health insurance and didn't change that was a huge benefit. Like I said, if you have a family plan, that's $4,500 that we're not taking out of your pocket a year.
Well, that's always been in my discussions when people talk to me, is that the health insurance is the biggest thing that kicked our butt this year, obviously, so.
Well, I mean, and if you think about it, in theory, it's kind of a more of a fair raise, because like I said, if you make over $100,000, then a 2.5% raise is more than what the health insurance benefit was. But not very many of our employees make over $100,000, so it's more money in their pocket at the end of the day than if we would have given 2.5%.
Right. If we had a shoulder part of that increase, but, and that, and we were talking earlier, people don't like changes,
Mhm. And I think if we have a bad year, it's an indication that our employees need the health insurance, probably.
It's pretty astounding how much is spent.
Mhm. Can we take a quick recess?
I was gonna say, take a recess for a minute. We are. May, you're up if you want to keep going.
Thanks for an interesting story. So I'm here this morning to not really tell you much that you don't already know, but I wanted the opportunity to discuss it in your public meeting. As you know, last year, the legislature passed House File 2673, which realigned the MHDS system into essentially two parts. The behavioral health system, which will be brain health services and substance use. And then the aging and disability system, which there will be, for each system, there will be an administrating agency. So for the behavioral health, there is the Administrative Services Organization, and under Aging and Disability Services, there's a Disability Access Point. These were state procurement processes last year. In October, the East Central Region submitted a letter of intent to, in October, we submitted our proposal to be the Administrative Services Organization for District 7. And if you remember the map, Iowa County is not in District 7, it's in District 6. And I've been here, late summer and the fall to talk about that. In mid-November, we had a bidders conference for the disability access point work. At that point, HHS encouraged regions to consider applying for more than one district up to statewide. So we were like, what are they trying to tell us? They told us that on a Tuesday. They said that they were releasing an amended RFP on Thursday. And it did come out Thursday at noon, and they gave us till Friday at 3 to make the decision. So between that Tuesday and Friday, I'm not sure if I stopped talking. I talked to board members and staff and our friends in the Eastern Iowa region who have been our partners this whole time. Board members again, it was just lots of discussions. And so on that Friday, the East Central region did submit a letter of intent for a statewide disability access point. So we said, okay, if they're looking for a statewide partner, then we're willing to step up and be that, right? Didn't really want that, but if they think that we're the right partner, then we're willing to serve. So as you know, December 13th, HHS made the announcement they had selected Iowa Primary Care Primary Care Association, PCA, as the statewide administrative services organization. So no regions were selected as for the behavioral health part, for the mental health and the substance use. Only a private nonprofit company was selected and able to do the statewide work. Today, we are supposed to find out about the disability access point. So waiting for my phone to start blowing up anytime here this morning, but also knowing HHS, it might be a 4:30 p.m. announcement here this afternoon. So
If that happens, what will our responsibilities be, or?
that's a great question. And it's hard for me to know. Counties are really kind of out of the game.
Right. I just didn't know if we got told what we had to do.
Yeah. If we are selected disability access point, if we are named disability access point for statewide, or even perhaps District 6 and 7, which would include Iowa County, there's a significantly smaller amount of money that's available for the disability access point compared to the Administrative Services Organization. So if we are selected, we will be able to maintain some staff. I don't know how many, and I don't know what that would look like. So I think that if we did, and if we were able to maintain staff, I would still pursue a single county as an employer of record. And so I would just ask your cooperation in making that transition.
It will all still be state funded, correct?
Yes,
Okay, so
it's all state funded.
So I'll be sure.
Yeah, so, receiving the notice that we were not selected as the administrative services organization was certainly heartbreaking. As far as I'm under the understanding today, until I hear differently, I believe that all 34 of our staff have to find other jobs.
Or gratefully retired. Where'd she go?
My notice is 10:15, sorry about that.
No, oh, you know what, they changed it, and we forgot to let you know. We changed it to 10 o'clock.
At least I'm not losing my mind.
Yeah, you're not sharper than I am. So, all staff, right, are out of jobs here at the end of June. So the law reads that the region ceases to exist as of June 30th. There will be a new code section that will be effective on July 1st that will govern the work of the Administrative Services Organization as well as the Disability Access Plans.
You may not know, but will PCA pick up any of the employees? Or maybe nobody will go there, but
We
Go
met
for
with,
it.
we met with the Administrative Services Organization last Thursday. They made 2 announcements. One is that they would sure like us to help identify staff that would maybe go work for them. But the second announcement that they made, and it was introduced as actually in a House and Senate bill yesterday, they will not be an IPERS covered entity. So the House File 2673 said the Administrative Services Organization would be an instrumentality of the state, and by code, instrumentalities of the state are IPERS eligible. Apparently, they've made the decision that they're not going to be IPERS eligible. Fortunately for us, for 10 years, we have staff who have been with us a long time, right? And so we have this institutional knowledge. Unfortunately, now in this case, we have staff who have been county employees for 20, 25, 30 years. And we have a lot of people who are close but not there yet with their IPERS retirement. And so that was a devastating blow also. That we don't know, what positions they're hiring. I got a distinct impression last week that it's a lot of service navigators. We have a role similar to this in the East Central region. We're the first region in the state to do it. We have children's navigators, a little bit different than our social workers. The children's navigators don't carry a caseload. They get in, they help the family, and they get out. And that's kind of the model that the state is using for adult behavioral health services, get in, get out. PCA is looking for service navigators across the state.
So how does that work per se is, I'll pick on you back there, is you have relationships with all the different people. You walk away, you got somebody brand new coming in, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of institutional knowledge and there's a lot of relationships that are being lost, that will be lost.
The relationship
in
is
this
the
transition.
word I'm looking for. There's no overlapping of, there's no overlapping of this entity and the new entity. It's just gone and good luck.
Well, the way that the law reads, there is no money for the Administrative Services Organization until July 1st. And so if I were a private nonprofit, I probably would say, see you on July 1st. They're trying to do a little bit more than that. However, yesterday in the 2 bills, the companion bills that were introduced in the House and the Senate, it appears that HHS is asking for use of the incentive fund, so $43 million to use for the transition. I'll get to our part of that, but the bill says that they can give some of that money at their discretion. So there's no amount listed, their discretion for the money to the Administrative Services Organization for the transition.
What was the
That's county
Senate,
dollars that are in that incentive fund too.
what was the bill that was introduced yesterday? Do you know?
Senate Study Bill 191, I think, Abby. It's either 191 or 171. I can't remember the House version, House Study Bill.
'Cause
I'll look, I'll find it.
any money, like any county money is gone now, right?
Yeah, it's gone and it's been gone for 3 years, but our first year where we had to meet that 60% fund balance,
Yeah.
we were slightly over. And so technically speaking, there's no county dollars in that fund. I misspoke. They withheld our state payment the next year. So we were able to still use our county dollars. We just didn't get the state dollars. So it's only state money that's in the incentive fund. And so they're now will be able to use that if the bill passes to
Okay, sorry.
fund the transition with the Administrative Services Organization. So, Abby, if you find it, Division 1 is real, like, brief at the top, and then Division 5 of the bill is where it talks about the use of the incentive fund.
Thank you.
I was here last summer to talk about our priority initiatives for the year. We always set them. Our priority initiatives that we set for FY25 were really focused around the transition. We knew it was coming, obviously. And we had a little bit tongue-in-cheek, we had a priority initiative way at the bottom that said, we'll reevaluate these priorities at the end of the fiscal year if necessary. Hoping, of course, that we were named the Administrative Services Organization. And as I told the Regional Governing Board, a lot of those were easy to say when we thought it was us. And now that it's not us and it's a little bit harder, doesn't mean that we don't have the same dedication to the work we do. We are a region until June 30th. So in December, at the beginning of January, I asked my staff to reevaluate the priority initiatives. We presented them to the Regional Governing Board at their January meeting, and these were the ones that were approved. So I just kind of want to talk about the closeout of the region as we are right now. So we say that we will support the transition with new and existing partners, right? There's a new partner on the playing field, the Administrative Services Organization. So we need to make sure that our providers understand what's happening, that we will make sure that those connections happen so that people still get services. The next priority is that we will maintain the highest level of commitment and integrity in administering our services through this transition. That was one of the priorities that we had in there that we kept, because that has always been important to us. We still have work to do, and we will continue to do it and hold our heads high. And then the next one is that we will ensure communication. We are doing a lot just to help people. In the last year and 2 months, there has been a lot of, there's not been a lot of clarity. And in the absence of clarity, there's fear and speculation, right? People make up stories when they don't have the facts. And so we have tried as hard as we can to just ensure that we are offering the facts to people. Sending out newsletters. We do a newsletter to our staff every 2 weeks, and then once a month we have a Q&A with May, because like my administrative team sees me a lot and hears, like the things that I know, but maybe not our clerical staff or our social workers. And so once a month I have a Q&A with May, and people can just ask questions, and usually do a little poll to kind of get, kind of figure out where they're at. So we're just trying to keep those lines of communication open. The next one is regional staff well-being and occupational changes will be supported to minimize the impact of the challenges related to the transition. There are systems and procedures being put into place to take care of the people that we all support. And it's very important to me that when the lights go out on the region on June 30th, that people can go to wherever they go for services on July 1st and not see a difference, right? That's priority number one. That's why that one's there. But nobody's looking out for our staff, right? HHS, the legislators, not looking out for the 34 people in our region who will be out of jobs. And so we are putting different activities into place. The very first thing I did, we found out on a Friday, by Monday, I had an arrangement with Abbey Center for Community Mental Health for all of our staff to receive up to 5 mental well-being coaching sessions. It's kind of like counseling light. You know, it's not diagnosis, it's not necessarily treatment, but it's a way to process through what's happening. So all of our staff can have up to 5 sessions. And we're a mental health agency, so I want to take care of the mental health of our
So
staff
you
first.
keep saying 34 staff, right? And the new entity doesn't want anybody?
They want them, but they don't want to pay IFRS, so they probably won't go.
And I hear their pay schedule is a lot lower than county government has.
That is for, not for transitional purposes, you'd want to do that, but. Okay, sorry.
We also, next week, we have Dr. Selena Perman, who works with our region. She's been a great partner. She's an HR specialist. She's been doing one-on-one sessions with people, but next Tuesday, we're having an all-staff meeting where Selena, and she's bringing like 3 or 4 other HR professionals, and our staff will have resume, job seeking, interview assistance. I had one of our staff say to me, I haven't filled out a job application since 1997. That broke my heart, right? And so, and like, people need help here. We also have IFRS, an IFRS representative meeting with all of our staff next Wednesday. I think it's the next week. We have a representative from Iowa Works to meet with all of our staff, answering unemployment, questions and, options for them. So, and we have one other thing. In the January meeting, with a blessing from HHS, I brought forth to the Regional Governing Board a plan for staff retention. And I think you probably have that documented as well. It was a memo that I had sent to the board. Our people need to find jobs, and I want them to find jobs, right? I want people to, I've told all of our staff, I want you to not settle. I want you to find a job that like speaks to your heart and like sparks your passion. But on the other hand, we have a job to do for 4.5 more months. And so I kind of need people to stay. And so we created a retention plan that won't necessarily, convince anybody to turn down an opportunity if one comes for them. But on the other hand, we'll thank those who do stay. So it's
I was gonna say, what happens, I mean, if everybody finds a job and walks away, nobody's gonna say, hey, I want a job for a month.
We heard you'd help out.
Yeah, we'll be discussing that with the board, the Regional Governing Board next.
That's where
So you think, you can't wait till the last minute to find the next job.
There are, there are we have really great people. And we have a couple of people who are retiring. We have 3 people who are retiring. And so they're like,
3 out of 34.
right, but they're like, we're not gonna go anywhere.
Right,
And
it's
so
all the other ones.
we have prioritized what we think needs to happen. And we are creating the list of what will fall away. Like, we're creating that succession plan. The 3 things that we have prioritized are intake, claims, and service authorizations. So getting people eligible for services, right? And then authorizing, yes, you can get that service, and then paying providers, because we still want people to get services. Our quality assurance might have to drop off, right?
Well, we'll have no control over the quality insurance after you walk away, right?
Correct. Well, we have a quality assurance coordinator, and so she does a lot of work with that, but she may have to fill other roles. And so like her provider audits might fall away when she has to step in and do other things. Yeah. It's a lot of fun, let me tell you, trying to figure this all out. So we have the retention plan. Those are the things that we're doing for our staff. Then the very last one is, we had said that we would do an internal transition. Like, what do we need to do to close the region? Last week at our meeting with the Department of Health and Human Services, they announced to us that we will be required to submit a transition plan to them. We always do an annual service and budget plan. It's due April 1st. It's our budget for the next year. This year, in lieu of the annual service and budget plan, they want a transition plan. They have said that they will give us guidance, and they hope that they'll have that guidance to us by the end of February. The plan's due April 1st. So, and I need to get that draft into the Regional Governing Board packet on March 20th. So we'll have 3 weeks to work on this transition plan. We started yesterday. I had the coordinators meet with me yesterday. HHS told us that they would not be offering a template, and that they hoped that the regions would work together. So last Friday morning, those of us CEOs worked together, developed an outline for the transition plan. We have been told, we were told last week, his office, do they get the equipment first, you know, like that type of thing? Or do we just say, June 30th, county, it's yours,
That's what.
figure out what to do with it? And we didn't have that motion, we didn't make decision because we don't know about disability access point. But the mood of the regional governing board was June 30th, county is all your stuff. We've got like about 13 vehicles. I don't think we have it.
No,
Yeah,
not in
yeah,
Iowa
right.
County.
With the computer and copiers and
Desks.
desk and all that kind of.
Yep.
Wouldn't they want the computer to get the data off of, or is that just being transferred?
They're pulling that off of CSN. It's all on the state network.
So we voted to sign the form today for the region.
For the advocate network.
Well, to transfer the information.
That's just the advocate, because they sent me one for the region work and I already signed that and sent it with advice from our attorney.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So the one that came directly to you guys was for the advocates' information in
Data
CSN.
release form.
Yep, yeah. Thank you for signing that.
Mhm.
So we are developing a plan. We have a preliminary plan of, one, Johnson County is our fiscal agent. They will remain our fiscal agent until the essential close out of all of the accruals and the claims. We have one staff person in Johnson County that we would like to pay to stay on. HHS has told us that we may develop a timeline for up to 6 months. Like by December 31st of this year, everything has to be wrapped up, all the claims have to be paid, all the books have to be closed, that check has to be written to the state behavioral health fund or whatever is left over. So we're not sure we're gonna need all 6 months, but we created a plan. We're gonna have one of our staff in Johnson County stay to approve claims. However, we need people to enter claims and to process them. So this morning I'm here to let you know that we have identified that Belinda is a great value for the region, and we would like Belinda to stay for a couple of months, July, August for sure, maybe September. We don't have it all worked out yet. It would still, and Belinda has agreed, it would still be reimbursed by the region. It would be reimbursed by Johnson County. It would not be any Iowa County expense. But if you agree to us doing that and allowing Belinda to stay to help out with processing those FY25 accruals, you would need to put it in your budget. I mean, it would be budget neutral because you'll get the reimbursement for it. I know, surprise. I wish I would have been able to tell you this a month ago.
Yeah.
When you were starting with your budget, or 3 months ago when you were starting to think about your budget, but you know, I just found out last Friday. We're gonna put it in this transition plan. And then when HHS approves it, then we're good. If HHS denies it, then we'll be like, okay, turn off computers on June 30th, bye. You figure out how to pay those claims. I mean,
Well, we won't know if it's, are you gonna tell us it's gonna be 5,000, 15,000?
oh, you'll tell us. You'll tell us about whatever Belinda's salary would be for those 2 months. You'll tell us.
But there's no cap.
Not as far as I know.
Okay, that's what I make sure this.
Yep, not as far as I know.
What about benefits, Manny?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the wage benefit, everything that you need in order to
For
keep
3
her,
months, right?
3 at the most. Yep.
And we get reimbursed monthly at
Um,
the end?
no, we never do it after.
I was gonna say, do we get a contract to
Yes, we would do that. And I would need to talk with Johnson County, but our practice has been before. So like you would get money from the region in June for July, August, and September. Like, we would give you the money up front. That's what we've done ever since it switched over from being a county funded system to a state funded system.
For the 7 new, it's 7 new line item for that?
I would have to look at what we would have in there.
Just trying to figure out how to do that for sure.
I understand. I'm I'm trying to figure out how to do a lot of this right now.
How long have you been there?
5 years. I've been the CEO for 5 years, but in 1995, when the state legislature passed the bill that created the MHDS system, I was hired as the central point of coordination in Cherokee County in Northwest Iowa, where I lived. So I've been in this system for 30 years. 10 years I worked in education, but other than that,
Okay.
20 of the 30 years I've been here. So Marilyn and I have been friends for almost 30 years.
And we will stay friends.
Of course. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and you will be getting advice, direction from the Department of Management and the Secretary of State's office, that counties will still be required to pay commitment costs. So right now you pay for the, you don't pay for the mental health advocate, right? Johnson County's just paying for it, so you don't have to worry about that. You pay the transportation costs and the attorney fees. You don't pay it, the region pays it, but you will be required to pay it. But then you'll get reimbursed by the ASO. So I'm saying it wrong, like you have to pay, you have to budget for it because it'll be an invoice to the ASO. Counties will be given a choice from what I understand. If you want to pay it all, like it all gets paid, like the auditor's office or your general fund reimburses the sheriff's department and then pays the attorneys. And then you as a county send an invoice to the ASO. Or if you say, we don't want any part of it, sheriff, bill the ASO, attorney, bill the ASO. So you will get to decide if you want to be a part of that or not. If you decide that you want to have, as HHS said to us, the control, and you want to pay it and then as a county get reimbursed by the ASO, I recommend budgeting like a quarter's worth of expenses for that because it will be pay and chase.
It would make more sense in my head to just have them directly bill it.
That's what I thought too.
I think in your situation, because you don't have the advocate, that probably makes sense. I mean, I think some counties like, well, we've got our advocate expenses, so we want to keep it clean and all together. But since you don't have the advocate expenses, Johnson County's taking care of that for you, it might be a better idea.
I'd rather have each entity take care of it.
Unless your sheriff and your attorneys tell you. If they say, we don't want to do that, then that's up to you to negotiate.
With regards to the advocate, is that something, so the 2080 agreement that we have currently with Johnson County, would we need to redo that?
Does that go
I
away?
don't think so. I'm trying to think of the language in there, Randy, and I don't know that 2080, I'll look at it, but I don't think it references anything with the region. The only thing it might say, and Johnson County gets the reimbursement from the region, and in that case, we would have to change that language from the ASO, would be the only change. But counties are still required to have appointed an advocate, you have appointed through that 2080, so that should be fine.
I just know that was a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah,
I know
good
there's
question.
A lot of different counties.
Thank you. It would have been nice if they were gonna go like statewide on this, just to do that from the beginning instead of all this extra work. If there was an idea of this, but
On the one hand, 6 months doesn't seem like enough time to transition this. On the other hand, 6 months seems like way too long because it hurts every day to
Yeah.
plan for our own unemployment.
Right.
So,
Well, I admire people that want to stay even though they're not going to be cut.
we have really dedicated people. We really, really do.
That'd be hard to do.
Well, we have a great team and
We're your family. I could see that as soon as I came in.
Yeah.
So,
I did a little exercise. We're reading a book together, our administrative team called Managing Transitions, and there's a chapter about grief and how it's a process for everybody. And one of the things that the book said is oftentimes when we go through a transition or we lose something that we don't really name it specifically, we want to just move on, right? And we're Midwesterners, so lots of times we want to just move on. So I did an activity with our team and I said, let's be specific. What are we losing here? I mean, other than we're losing our jobs, what are we losing? And there was a lot of, we're losing our team, we're losing a family, we're losing, you know, our sense of pride in the work that I've done for 20 years, you know, whatever that was. And there were a lot of tears. And I said, okay, let's change the narrative now. What have we gained from being a region and from being a team? And it was a beautiful conversation. And there were people like saying, I've learned what I expect from a team and how a healthy team operates and what I expect from a supervisor. And, you know, there was just.
I'm just worried about when you lose local control and personal contact of.
I'm worried about the institutional knowledge that goes with a lot of.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was trying to bring up earlier. Everybody has interpersonal knowledge of how things are ran.
Yeah, and the relationships, right? I had a provider call me like the week after the announcement, and one of my staff was in the car with me, and the provider wanted to change something in their budget and not go over budget. They were still staying within the budget, but she wanted to move some things around, and she wanted to do more advertising. And we always want people to know about the services. And so I told her on the phone, like, yeah, absolutely, you can do that. You're not going over your budget. And the staff person that was with me said, why did you approve that? It's not going to make any difference anyway. We're not going to be the region. It's not going to make any difference anyway. I said, I approved it because we want people to know about services. And because a year from now, that's not a phone call she'll be able to make.
Right.
To call who's ever in charge to say, hey, can I move things around a little bit? And like we have those relationships that I hope that eventually the ASL will have as well. That for a lot of us, it's people behind me, right?
It feels
30
like
years of
it feels like we're being punished for it. We were well managed and other areas weren't, to balance it out.
I don't know if it's the truth, but I can agree with you that that's how it feels. Right? I don't know the motivation.
Some
but
entities
I mean,
didn't have money and they were short, and we had money, and then we wanted to balance it out. Just didn't seem right.
So, thank you so much for your time. I assume I'll be back before the meeting.
Thank you for everything.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks
for.
for coming out. We'll see you next week, I guess.
I'll see you next week. Yeah.
'Cause I'm sure we'll have more questions about Belinda and stuff too, how that's all gonna work out.
Yes. And we know, like, hello, budget, like you have to get your budget in and you've got your budget hearings, I'm sure already scheduled. So like, but I wanted to talk to you about it as soon as possible. Thank heavens, 2 other counties that I need to have the conversation with, I'm with them on Monday. So that works out. And Brady will be working with you as far as like that amount and, working on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for anybody in here?
Are you done now?
Thank you.
Nope, yep, one more.
Okay.
Sorry about the overrun.
Oh, that's nice, Leia.
Yep.
All right.
Let's
Is there
see.
an HDMI? There is, but there used to be.
What do we need it for?
Like just a presentation up to this.
It's,
Can you do AirPlay?
Oh, I should.
Apple?
I don't have Apple.
I'm not sure if
You
it's-
need a-
if it's not Apple, it won't work.
Well, I don't know if the TV has AirPlay too. The ones over there do. There should be an HDMI cord though that runs through your,
I see a white cord
Isn't
on there.
that
I don't
white
know what the
there?
white one, I can't tell what the end looks like.
That's my charger, that's my charger cord.
That's a flat cord.
It's not this cord right here. Is it plugging it into-
This goes, this one here,
No. Well, that is an HDMI.
but that goes to our
an
owl.
owl.
It must be in front of Seth's desk.
Yeah.
There.
All right. Thank you.
Good thing we had you here to find it.
Yeah.
It's right in front of Chris's nose.
We're pulled anything out of there.
Maybe if he didn't have, stuff in his mug over there, you'd find it.
Here we go.
We'll start requiring sealed containers.
Yeah.
Can you guys close the blinds on that side? I'll use glare this side.
Oh, poor kid.
What we gotta do?
There, that's all I
Yes
need.
Or something or what?
Back to your mind.
No, go ahead, Chris. The next 2.
Okay, there we go. I presented last week and then.
Yeah, that's what Carol did for me.
That's good.
Christine Bullock with Workplace Learning Connection out of Kirkwood, here to share our annual update and talk about our sustained ask for next year. And you know, you guys, it sounds like there's a lot of hard decisions, and I'll mention some of them that it seems like a lot of departments are affected through the state, including us. But our goal is to really be a regional, efficient, systematic approach to getting students into career exploration experiences, to help them navigate what coursework do they want to take in high school, what careers are they interested, what businesses are in their communities, as a way for them to see that they can live and work here in Iowa, and especially in our rural counties, and to grow a family here, but also for our businesses, so that it increases their capacity to provide these experiences for students. We know, especially after COVID, that there was a lot of workforce shortages. Businesses were short-staffed anyways, and so our program and how we run things really helps to make it efficient, so that businesses that are able to participate can support this work for a lot of schools. And our team really lives by the single point of contact. We want to be each of our schools. We have a person assigned to every middle school and high school. That's about 108 buildings in our region. And we also have business liaisons that are specifically assigned to businesses, so that we can efficiently have all of the schools participating. It wouldn't be very efficient if we had somebody from Williamsburg and Iowa Valley and English Valleys that all had somebody reaching out at the same time to businesses. And it wouldn't be helpful for a business to have to go and build those relationships with different people at the school, especially when there's turnover. So this has really helped our department sustain at Kirkwood since the late 90s, even as we've had staff turnover, as there's been budget changes and different demands from the state. And in years past, I haven't really spelled out for you directly what we do at every grade level. So I did want to take an opportunity to talk about that today, especially since workforce is a prime issue. Work-based learning is a big issue in the state legislature right now. So we work with 6th through 12th grade, and this is a contract that we have with all of the schools to provide these services consistently. At the middle school, we really try and do a broad range of experiences so that students get to see a lot of careers without it being just based on what their own personal network or their family life is like, or what they think they should do based on like their gender or their income. So in 6th grade, we'll do classroom speakers. We bring speakers into the school buildings, and students get to hear from a variety of careers. In 7th grade, we have all of our 7th graders are bused out to our county and regional centers to do hands-on sessions, 30-minute sessions with businesses, again, across different career clusters. So they might do a session in a welding lab, they might have a session that's in healthcare, and then they might have another session that's in IT. And then in 8th grade, the state requires, as part of their career and academic plans for students, that they do a career interest inventory. Some of you probably did something like this when you were in school, to figure out how their interests align to a career. So we ask students to do that survey in 8th grade, and then they select a career, and we do a financial literacy fair with them. We don't have all of our counties that get to do it within their county just for space requirements, but Iowa County, we do keep Iowa County students in Iowa County for that. The other parts of this region get out to our 4 regional centers. So that's about 4,500 8th graders that we bring into that event. Iowa County will be happening here in April. And that's a great way for students to see what salary actually translates to living expenses. For some of them, they're really learning how much their parents pay for them now. It's surprising how much we've had students say like, wow, I need to go say thank you to my mom. And for an 8th grader to say that on their own is kind of mind-boggling. But they're also seeing how many things their parents pay for with rent and utilities and streaming services and cell phone bills and clothing costs. But it also talks to them about student loans. If you're wanting to go into a 4-year program or you want to be a doctor, there's a lot of costs associated with that too. And it's not just thinking that you're going to be a surgeon and make this big salary. There's a lot of stuff that goes behind the scenes. But then when they get into high school, we want them to start self-selecting more about what they're interested in. And so with each school, we will provide 2 school-specific events that they would like to do. For example, we do an Iowa County Career Fair that's held in Williamsburg at the Rec Center. Iowa Valley recently had their mock interviews. Some will still want to bring classroom speakers in at the high school level. But then students can select job shadows. So they can do 3 job shadows per year, 10th grade through 12th grade, and 3 internships per year, 11th through 12th grade. And I did pull up just so you could kind of see, and I know this is really small on this TV, but these are just Iowa County job shadows that we have coming up this month, and some examples of places where students are going, or we have some going out to Don Hummer, some are at Hills Bank. We got a couple that wanted to do job shadows with teachers, total rehab for physical therapy. We have an ag day at Bear. So really a wide variety of careers spread throughout the whole county. And this list of students doing experiences, this is students from Iowa County, but also students, for example, at the Bear experience that are coming from out of county and have signed up to come to an experience in Iowa County. So that's great too, to bring some of those kids from other counties. And then we do large scale like field trips where students go out throughout the whole 7-county region. For example, we have a construction apprenticeship fair in the fall around the National Apprenticeship Week, where they get to see all the apprenticeship programs that align to construction. Build My Futures in the spring for middle school and high school, kind of a similar event. And then we do career discovery tours where we had about 60 businesses open their doors during Manufacturing Month. And we do all the scheduling of the schools going to different tours across the region. One of them, for example, is Kinsey does a tour multiple days for us in the fall. So kind of the total number of students, there's roughly 37,000 students in 6th through 12th grade in our 7-county region. And this shows you that so far this year, with still a few months left, that we have about just over 30,000 students that have done our programs this year. And we see especially our job shadows and internships are really growing. But here in Iowa County, here's some pictures of some of the students that have been in experiences. On the left was a job shadow at Kinsey. Then we had some students at Compass Memorial. And I forget which one, it's the ladies that run in Williamsburg.
Bloom.
Yes. And then we have Total Rehab there on the right. And then this was Iowa Valley students on the left doing mock interviews, Williamsburg Manufacturing there in the center, and then the Iowa County Career Fair. And I will tell you about this Compass Memorial Day. They do a really good job of showing healthcare careers throughout the whole hospital, not just doctors and nurses, which is what students are probably the most familiar with. And I was in a job shadow one day, and I was in Lynn County, and this girl had attended a job shadow out here at Compass Memorial, and she was telling another student how great it was because we had another opportunity for them to sign up. So really great experiences for the students. This is some quotes that we had from business and students. The first quote there is from Kendall Watson, who was at Fireside Winery. She said, hosting a high school student for a job shadow reminded me of all the reasons I love my career field. To see the excitement in their eyes learning new things, their curiosity and passion for a new topic that I get to do every day is very refreshing. I'm glad I could give some insight into what my job field entails. And then 2 students, Grace from Iowa Valley said, after my experience, I learned this career field is what I want to go to college for. I might even work for the company I shadowed for after I graduate. And Haley from Williamsburg High School said, my job shadow was a great experience, and I would recommend a job shadow to any classmate unsure of their future plans. I learned many different things at this job shadow, like how to test to see what blood type you are, what machines do what, how to look for abnormalities in samples, how different diseases affect what data you can see from your blood, etc. It was a very hands-on learning experience. I liked how helpful everyone was, and they were all open to teaching me things. They told me about everything I would need to know, including what schooling I would need, what schools are good options, the difference between going to a 4-year and a 2-year program, the demand for workers in the field, the average starting wage, and how much I would make if I were going to be a traveling med tech, and so many other helpful things. And this is when we ask students to do just a free response about, like, what did you like about your job shadow? So you could tell just within a 2 to 4 hour job shadow, they really get a lot out of what they're learning. So what's changed over the last year? There's been a lot of changes in the K-12 space at the state level. There's been kind of a change in the AEA system, the school voucher system, but there's also been a change in how the states are doing the state report cards. So it used to be that the post-secondary readiness was defined by number of students completing the ACT and their scores. And the state, especially after COVID, some institutions don't even require an ACT, and some students were like, well, I don't have a plan to go to those programs, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be any less interested in what, like, how ready are they for life after high school? So they switched their post-secondary readiness indicator. You can see this on all the school report cards, to be that the definition of post-secondary readiness is participation in work-based learning, an industry-recognized credential, or taking concurrent enrollment. And so luckily for our schools, we're the only community college in the state that's really got all of these pieces lined up for them to easily plug into. Our internship program is dual credit, so they get high school and concurrent and Kirkwood credit, plus it satisfies the work-based learning component. If you were to look at these report cards, I don't know if anybody has, you might see that this indicator doesn't look very good for schools right now. Unfortunately for the schools, they were kind of held to a standard that they didn't even know they were shooting for, because it's based off the 2022-2023 senior class. And so that's like, they didn't even know what definition they were using then. It's one snapshot of one grade and what that grade did during that year. So if they did an internship in 11th grade, it didn't count. If they took college credit in 11th grade, it didn't count. So I would just caution you, if you look at those, our schools are really doing great things. It's just they were kind of held to something that they couldn't meet. And we're also making it easy for our districts to, Kirkwood's really being purposeful about telling them, you know, what credentials they're able to get in concurrent enrollment and which courses help meet that definition. We were also recognized, there were about, the U.S. Department of Education did a call to identify the top work-based learning ecosystems in the country. There were about 5,000 proposals, and we were selected as a top 10. They don't do a number one, they don't rank it in the top 10, they just identified the top 10. It was first the top 100, and then we had to apply again in the top 10. And we were the only one out of this top 10 that is working beyond just even one county. So that was unique, that we have a partnership with all of our schools. We're the only ones that have graded funding. Most of the programs that were identified have one or two funding sources. We have at least 8 different funding sources. And that used to be the AEA funding. Well, we all know the AEA funding changed. We lost that funding, but we were able to backfill that in other areas because we have a lot of different funding sources. So we actually have a group out of California that's like, how do we go about pitching to our county boards? They don't call them county boards of supervisors, commissions maybe, to do this, because it is a way to kind of make it more equitable level of support. And so beyond looking at like the numbers, we continuously see that students are really positively influenced by their experiences. It helps them identify if this is something they're really interested in, and this is for job shadows and internships. Becoming more aware of local career opportunities. We are up about 6% in students that say they will live and work in Iowa. You even saw that quote from the student that said, I'd like to come back and work here after I graduate. We actually have that 60% of our students were offered additional employment by their business hosts. Before COVID, that was 18%. About 2 years ago, it was like 40%. So we're seeing that go up, and that's really going up in the rural areas as students get hired. And a majority of our students take concurrent enrollment across the whole 7-county region. About 25% of students will take concurrent enrollment. But if they participate in one of these experiences, they're more likely to take concurrent enrollment. And Kirkwood has shown that students who take college credit in high school are more likely to go on to additional training of some type, and then they're more likely to finish that training. So the ask today is consistent with last year's at 10 cents per capita based on the 2020 census population data. So for Iowa County, that'd be $1,666.20. And this is a consistent ask that we make for all of the county boards. Any questions? And I'll just put a plug. I think I saw some of you maybe at the last one, but Kirkwood's doing their Iowa County meeting again next week. If anybody's interested, it's going to be out at the Iowa County Center in Williamsburg to kind of talk about corporate support from Kirkwood and corporate training is next week.
I know I won't be able to make it. I've got economic development and then we have a conference board meeting that night.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My son personally benefited from it, so he did an internship with the Cedar Rapids Rough Riders.
Oh, okay,
And he's in his master's degree in that type of program.
okay. Where did he end up going to school?
He did 4 years at Morris and now he's in his master's at Iowa.
Okay.
He'll be done in May. Works for the Hawkeye football team,
Oh, yeah. Okay, what does he do for the team?
recruiting office.
Okay, very cool. Does he get to travel a lot with all those?
No,
recruiting
no.
visits?
It's a student job, so.
Well, that's a whole new ballgame with recruiting at the college level with the NIL and
Oh,
all
yeah.
that money that's flowing.
Past few years have really changed things.
Anything else for discussion?
I don't think so. Yeah.
We already budgeted that, anyhow.
That's the question.
We're done with budget, other than what the dues and outs.
We'll have to show it somehow.
What?
We'll have to show it somehow.
Yeah, but it won't change our levy rates or anything, so. it'll be-
No, it doesn't change, but we still have to have it.
Mhm. Yeah,
But I don't think they did that.
The information I got from Ted wasn't.
She probably talked to you about the incentive retention program, right?
What we needed for the budget for
Yeah, I think this,
school and such, not that.
this thing came up just like yesterday or 2 days ago, I think.
Well, cancel your plans to Florida.
I'll take your place. I'll come to take your place. I'll enjoy it.
Probably won't be the last surprise between now and the end of January.
no, it won't be.
But we have to have that out there before it shows an increase.
Too bad we didn't have 5 pickups issued to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think is there, I mean, do you guys have anything, I don't,
Your motion to adjourn then?
What's your turn?
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. You're adjourned.
I'll get a hold of,